Welcome to today's team selection video, and this week I could be considering a very differential captain. We're going to cover my entire squad, captaincy thoughts, as well as my benching headaches to let you know exactly where my head's at for the up and coming deadline. So let's get into this. Welcome back to the FPL Mugs channel. It's time for this week's team selection for game week 2. Of course, if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe, and if you do enjoy today's video, make sure you drop a like as well. Both of those really help the channel. But let's get straight into things with the defense here, and we'll cover the two main locks of the game week so far in Tosin and Murillo. Now, Tosin for me has been leaks that he could be part of Chelsea training this week. I hope he has been, because I think the fixture's really great against West Ham away from home. I'd like to see him in a Chelsea shirt. It was really disappointing in the first game week, Chelsea getting a clean sheet and, well, him not being a part of that squad. I know, well, we knew it was going to be a risk at 4.5, but Achapong at 4 million started, so anything's possible, I suppose. But a bit disappointing for game week 1. I'm hoping he's involved in game week 2. I just hope it's not off the bench. That's going to be a decision I'll have to make closer to the deadline when we get press conference information. Murillo, Crystal Palace away from home. Crystal Palace might be playing without Erebici Eze. It looks like he could be going to either Spurs or Arsenal. More likely Arsenal now. I think we've had an official here we go with a medical booked, so it looks like Arsenal. I wish it was Spurs in all honesty, but Arsenal look to be getting Eze. That could take some of the force out of the Crystal Palace attack. We'll have to wait and see how that looks. But Murillo away from home, Crystal Palace, we'll see how it goes. I'm quite happy with Forest defence overall. I think conceding the penalty in the last fixture was a bit unlucky, but that's just how FPL goes. We have to swallow it up and go on to the next week. I still like Murillo as well for defensive contributions, etc. So yeah, great pick for me. This is where the team kind of has a headache in a way for the bench. So I have a combination of Dubravka and Pedro Porro, or Vicario and Esteve. I'm not too sure which pairing I like more. I currently have Dubravka and Pedro Porro as the starting goalkeeper and defender. I think Dubravka with Sunderland at home is decent. I don't think it's groundbreaking. I think Sunderland played fantastic against West Ham. Of course, Sunderland's my team, so I'm trying to take as much bias out of it as possible. And I just don't know. I don't feel like double Burnley defence and going Dubravka and Esteve is probably the best way to go. I think adding Pedro Porro in there could be a nice way to potentially differentiate myself from the crowd. I think Pedro Porro's going to be a player that's maybe benched with that Man City away fixture, but playing in that back five system like we've seen at PSG that we expect them to play against Manchester City could see Pedro Porro travel higher up the pitch, and he could be responsible for more defensive actions dealing with Manchester City's left wing. That's the current thought process with that. I just think there's a better and higher chance for points with Pedro Porro rather than Esteve. I do think Sunderland will put up a good fight and probably score against Burnley, but Vicario in goal just doesn't quite seem right. I'm not sure maybe save points will put him ahead of I'm really not too sure how I want to think about it. At the moment, this is how I've got it lined up, with Anderson on the bench as well with Manchester United home. I don't think Manchester United home is a really great fixture for Anderson, but it could be the case that I have to play him instead of Tosin in this particular team. But that's how I'm lining up with the defence. Let's move to the midfielders. I did say I was going to go differential with the captaincy this game week. Cole Palmer could be my captain for FPL game week 2. I know it's a bit mental, but let's talk through the midfielders first, because there are a few options for captaincy this game week within my squad. First of all, we've got Mohamed Salah. I do think against Newcastle, he's got an okay record. I just hope we see a little bit more of him attacking wise than we did in the Bournemouth fixture. I feel as though he was a bit quiet at times within that first game week, so maybe we can see a bit more. It's going to be a very high and active game due to the nature of the Isak transfer. There's a lot of bad blood between the clubs, I feel. Not the clubs per se, but the players, I would say. So we'll see how that game goes. Hopefully Liverpool can get the job done and Salah has a decent part in it. We next have Cole Palmer, who is my captain for this game week. For me, West Ham just were really bad in the first game week. I think they'll look a little bit better for game week 2. I do think so. But they're also facing a team with much, much better quality than Sunderland and Chelsea. yeah, I just think hopefully Chelsea changed something up from the first game week. Their creativity was basically non-existent, but we know Cole Palmer can just randomly turn up one day and just put in like a 10 out of 10 performance like he did a few last season. I believe it was against Brighton or Everton where he scored 4 goals. It was against Brighton, I think, where he scored 4 goals in the first half. Hopefully we see something like that. I don't really know. At the moment, it just feels right to be captaining Cole Palmer with how game week 1 went. We have to consider how bad Palmer was in that first game week. So Salah could be an option for captaincy, of course, this game week as well. But in the middle of the park there, I think people are sort of overreacting, selling Wirtz en masse. For me, if you watch that Bournemouth fixture, did he pose an immediate sell? Not for me. I'll be keeping a hold of him definitely this game week. I understand that people probably downgraded him to go to Reinders. But yeah, Wirtz for me is decent this game week. We'll see how he gets on in this Liverpool side. I think he'll get a good chunk of minutes going forward. Excited to have him in my FPL team. We've got Reinders as well. Received a price rise this week against Tottenham at home for game week 2. I've struggled to understand how this fixture is going to go. We always know that Spurs do quite well against Manchester City. I'm not too sure. Reinders just is a really quality player, so perhaps get something within this fixture. Not exactly groundbreaking, nowhere near maybe 10 points, maybe an assist or a goal, and that's it. But yeah, I think Reinders is still a really great pick for this game. We're happy to have him in the squad, of course, receiving that price rise. Yeah, so we'll see how he does against Spurs at home. Bruno Fernandes is a bit more of an interesting one here. Fulham away from home. Going to Craven Cottage is sometimes quite a difficult place to go to. He was quite deep against Arsenal, but I think that's because of the nature of the game. I think we'll see Bruno in a bit more of an advanced role, not per se as a 10, but not sitting back so much and just launching balls into the box for the last 20 minutes of the game. Because they're not playing Arsenal, they're playing Fulham at the end of the day. So I do think Bruno Fernandes will be decent this game week. I hope he kind of comes away with something as an attack and return just to kickstart this Premier League season. You've got some really great attackers in front of them. I think Sesko could possibly start in this fixture as well, which might give them a little boost to kick the game off. So we'll see how that goes. Quite excited to own Bruno Fernandes, in all fairness. But yeah, that is the midfielder section of the video. Let's move up now to the forward line. We have another possible captaincy shout in my team in the forward line in Evan Nielsen against Wolves at home. It's really between Salah, Palmer and Evan Nielsen this game week. Maybe Bruno Fernandes is like a distant fourth, but those are the top 3 in my opinion for my squad. Evan Nielsen's great. I really like him. Obviously didn't do too much against Liverpool. He's a lone striker in that squad. He's got Van Dijk marking him. I didn't expect him to do much in the Liverpool game, if anything at all. He just got a yellow card, which was frustrating. We'll see how he performs against a weaker side, where he maybe sees a little bit more of the ball. I had him towards the end of last season. Well, for a majority of last season, actually, I owned Evan Nielsen. It was fantastic for the squad. I'm not sure if he's on penalties and how that's going to work for Bournemouth. I'd imagine he does, but Semenyo Kante a really good penalty as well. We'll see how things go. Evan Nielsen for me against Wolves is fantastic. Jean-Philippe Mateta against Forest at home. Again, I mentioned when I was speaking about Murillo, Eze possibly not even in this squad for this fixture with his Arsenal medical booked for Friday, I believe it was. Really interesting acquisition from Arsenal there. But Jean-Philippe Mateta in the Crystal Palace attack might suffer a little bit. We'll see how it plays out against a really stubborn defence in Forest. I hope he gets something within this fixture, but longer term, Mateta's fixtures are quite nice to have. So starting game week 1 with him was always going to be a difficult choice, but I feel as though through the game weeks he will shine. It just depends how big of an impact Eze leaving will have on Palace. He could be a potential transfer out in the next few weeks if things aren't looking too great for Palace moving forward. I think overall the squad with the 1 free transfer, if we're looking here, there's nothing really I need to change desperately. No player stands out as, oh my god, sell me right now, I'm so bad. it just doesn't make sense to, in my opinion. I've got two good benching options there in Esteve and Anderson, who will play the majority of minutes for their respective teams. Vicario sitting on the bench as well, normally going to be my main keeper for every single game week. And then you've got Mark Guay for Sunderland. I still think it's very early for him to be involved in the starting lineup. He's only been around for a few training sessions. He was quite late actually after signing, because there was a little bit of hiccup within his deal in particular. So I do suspect he'll start maybe in a few weeks' time. We'll see how Mayenda performs in the next few weeks as well, because he looks really fantastic against West Ham. I'm really impressed at how Mayenda's travelled up from not being contended for a starting lineup at all in Sunderland when he was around, well, when he was a young lad really to first join the club, and now he's kind of grown into this player who could be a really good asset for the Premier League, which is just insane. So Mark Guay could be a bit of a struggle to get anywhere near the team for the first few weeks. We'll see how that goes, but overall this is the squad that I'm dealing with right now for game week 2. Let me know what you think of it in the comments, but yeah, I think I'm ready to go for game week 2 now. I always outro my videos with a massive thank you to you guys at home for supporting the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. Of course, if you did enjoy today's video, go ahead and drop a like, and if you aren't yet subscribed, go subscribe as well for future FPL content and deadline streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.